Hi, this is Frode, and welcome to ActualizeNotes TV, where I deliver 5 big ideas from the book Man's Search for Meaning. In the beginning of the book, the author talks about how the book has sold a lot of copies, and he says that if hundreds of thousands of people are reaching out for a book that promises to deal with the question of the meaning to life, then it must really be a question that burns under their fingernails. So, Man's Search for Meaning, as the title suggests, is here to help you do just that. Get more clear on your personal meaning. But it will also teach you a lot about the concentration camps in Nazi Germany during World War II. The book was written by Viktor Frankl, who was a neurologist and psychologist, and who survived 4 different concentration camps, or death camps, in Nazi Germany during World War II. He founded the field of logotherapy, which is based on the belief that the man's striving for a meaning to his life is the primary motivating force in his life, or her life, of course. Also, he wrote over 30 books about theoretical and clinical psychology, and it has become known around the world. 5 ideas. Let's have a preview. Spiritual freedom. We always have an ability to choose how we are going to respond, no matter the circumstances. Faith in the future. If you don't have faith in the future, do you think you're going to wake up excited to make your good future a reality? The meaning of life. This is the most important idea I found in the book, and the one I think you're here to learn about. And it might surprise you. The will to meaning. The will to meaning is the primary motivating force in us, as I talked about in the logotherapy. Dynamic tension. Dynamic tension is the tension between who you are and who you can become. Get more into that. I love that idea. Let's get into the first big idea. Spiritual freedom. Viktor said that he knew that people always have the ability to choose their own response. There are many examples of this, often of a heroic nature. For example, in the concentration camps, some people would go around comforting others in the huts and give away their last piece of bread. And this showed just how, as Viktor says, everything can be taken away from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And there were always choices to make, every day and every hour offered opportunities to decide, and which would either make them give away this inner freedom to choose their response and become the plaything of circumstance. Abraham Maslow, a humanistic psychologist of the 20th century, echoed the same wisdom toward a psychology of being, where he says, the notion that the human being is essentially reactive, the stimulus-response man, we might call him, becomes completely ridiculous and for self-actualizing people. Their reactions are more internal than external, and the stimulus-response man is just set in motion by external stimuli. We want to acknowledge that we always have the ability to choose how we are going to respond, no matter what happens. Which leads me to the question, have any ill fortunes, hard knocks, or stress been happening in your life lately? And is this your time to choose how you are going to respond in an empowered way in any given set of circumstances? Or are you just going to become the plaything of circumstance? Next big idea, faith in the future. When a prisoner lost faith in the future, his future, he was doomed. And the symptoms of this were very clear. One day he would just refuse to get dressed and go out on the parade grounds to start working or go on long marches with the other prisoners. He would just lay there. No entreaties, no blows, and no threats would move him. There he would just lay in his own excreta until he died. and that shows just how important it is for us to have faith in our future. Do you think you're going to wake up early, work around the clock, stay up late, eat healthy, and become everything you're capable of being if you don't have faith in a better future? Of course not. And Jim Rohn echoes the same wisdom in the 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle, where he talks about how we can see our future in our inner eye. He says, our attitude about the future depends on our ability to see the future. Which makes us go down to a few journaling questions. You can either just reflect on these in your head, or even better, you can write them down on paper. And this is really important to get to know yourself better and what you truly want. So the first question, what is the #1 most important goal I want to achieve within 5 years? For me, I want to write 750 Actualize notes and distill them into MP3s, these videos, and mini classes. And then, next question, what's the #1 thing I need to do today to make that future a reality? For me, it's to create this video right here. You? So get clear on your future. Connect it to what you can do today to make that future a reality, and boom, you have a better faith in the future. Of course, this is only if you actually do those actions, those daily actions that bring you toward it. If not, it's just the beginning of delusion. Next big idea, the meaning of life. This one might actually surprise you. So Viktor says that ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather he must recognize that it is he who is asked. And he talks about how we can only answer what our life's meaning is by answering for our lives. This means that we can only respond to what our meaning is by being responsible. And thus, he says, logotherapy sees in responsibleness the very essence of human existence. So, recall how I talked about that logotherapy is based on the belief that man's striving to have a meaning is the primary motivating force? Well, we need to add the responsibility. To that equation. Because if we're not responsible of our meaning, we won't make one for ourselves. We will just search for it outside of ourselves. Also, yes, there was an idea I wanted to connect. Jack Canfield, who is an author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, says in the Success Principles that there is only one person responsible for the quality of the life you live. That person is you. So right now we're going to do another journaling question that you can do in your head or write it down. What is the meaning that I take 100% responsibility for in my life right now? And of course, this can change from this day to next year to 5 years from now. But right now, what is it for you? For me, I am helping people actualize their potential to express express themselves and become all that they are capable of being. And it could be something as simple as I am going to be an exemplary husband, or a wife, or father, mother, or student, football player, etc. And this will evolve as you go out through your life. Fourth big idea, the will to meaning. Viktor says that man's search for meaning is the primary motivation in his life, and not just a secondary rationalization of instinctual drives. Abraham Maslow echoes the same wisdom by talking about the hierarchy of needs. And he says that as you ascend the hierarchy of needs and satisfy the basic needs for food, shelter and belonging, you arrive at self-actualization, which then becomes a fundamental need, not just something that would sort of be a nice thing to do in the future, but a need. Viktor calls it the will to meaning, our striving to actualize our potential, and Maslow calls it self-actualization. And Viktor also presents a really fascinating study that were conducted by social scientists at Johns Hopkins University. They would give 8,000 students from 48 different colleges a statistical survey where they needed to answer what they considered as very important in their lives right now. And they found out that 16% of the students would check off on making a lot of money, while 78% of them would check off finding a purpose and meaning to my life. So there are really many people around you right now who are really striving to find a meaning in their lives. But are you talking about it? Well, I urge you to make that okay, to start talking about it, because it can make it more clear what you really want to do with your life. Will to meaning. Last big idea, dynamic tension. When Viktor was sat in a concentration camp in Auschwitz, his manuscript that was ready for publishing would be taken away from him. And he knows now, after getting out of camp life, that his deep desire to write that manuscript again helped him survive the rigors of the concentration camp. For example, in a concentration camp in Bavaria, he fell ill with typhus fever, which often resulted in death. But he would start jotting down some notes on scraps of paper, so he would be able to rewrite the manuscript if he was liberated from the prison eventually. And he knows that this reconstruction of his manuscript enabled him to survive the rigors and protect him against the dangers of dying from cardiovascular collapse. And there was also something really important he said. Yes, he said mental health, happiness, is based on a certain degree of tension. The tension between what one has already achieved and what one still ought to accomplish. Or the tension between what one is and what one should become. And he illustrated this by saying that this tension is like this existential dynamics is like a polar field that's got tension. And in one of the poles, you have a meaning. And the other pole is the person. The way I use this is that I make 50 plus years goal. I said it goes really far into the future, so I'm almost dragged toward the future, and then I connect it to today's reality. So I always know what I can do to make that future a reality. And Viktor, the opposite of this, the dynamic tension, is homeostasis. It's just a tensionless state where you keep doing the things you have been doing all of your life, for years or even decades. But this is really not what will contribute to our happiness. And Viktor says that what man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling toward a worthwhile goal, a freely chosen task. Stress researcher Kelly McGonigal echoes the same wisdom in The Upside of Stress, where she says that when the most common reported sources of stress in people's lives overlap with the greatest sources of meaning, it's clear that stress may even contribute to well-being. We want that dynamic tension, set goals that are really important to us, and do the things daily that will make them a reality. That was dynamic tension. The will to meaning. It's a primary motivating force in our lives. It's a fundamental need if you want to be happy. The meaning of life. You choose what your meaning of life is, and you have to take 100% responsibility for making it real and living it. Faith in the future. If you don't have a clear opinion, a clear picture of what your future looks like, you won't be excited to go out and make it a reality. Spiritual freedom. We always have the freedom to choose how we are going to respond in any given set of circumstances, so we can choose wisely. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to sharing more wisdom with you soon, and I hope you continue to actualize your potential. Make this an awesome day. See ya.